Hello and welcome to Lancashire Footnotes, where today we thought we'd take a break from our usual presentation format and produce one of those walking along filming stuff and talking about it randomly behind the camera films that are increasingly popular on YouTube instead.
Because you couldn't be bothered editing the footage together properly afterwards, could you?
We're at Sunderland Point this morning.
Or writing a script from all the notes I painstakingly researched.
We're at Sunderland Point this morning, a bleak, pointless collection of cottages and mud, buried somewhere deep in the northwest corner of Lancashire.
Sort of opposite Glasson Dock.
Most famous, or infamous perhaps, for Sambo's grave.
We ought to point out that that's not racist. It sounds racist, I know, but it's not, honestly. That was his name, apparently. Well, actually, his name was Sambo, according to all records, but spelling appeared to be optional in the 18th century. He was the cabin boy of an unnamed ship that landed at Sunderland Point in 1736. After she discharged her cargo, Sambo was placed at the inn with the intention of remaining there until the vessel was ready to sail.
You're obviously reading this off a piece of paper, aren't you?
Supposing himself to be deserted by the master, without being able, probably from his ignorance of the language, to ascertain the cause, he fell into a complete state of stupefaction, even to such a degree that he secreted himself in the loft on the brewhouse, and stretching himself out at full length on the bare boards, refused all sustenance.
Yeah, it's supposed to be off the cuff and spontaneous, isn't it? I mean, you're obviously reading it, aren't you?
He continued in this state only a few days, when death terminated the sufferings of poor Sambo. As soon as Sambo's exit was known to the sailors who happened to be there, they excavated him a grave in a lonely dell in a rabbit warren behind the village, within 20 yards of the seashore, whither they conveyed his remains without either coffin or bier, being covered only with the clothes in which he died.
Some people think that Sambo was a slave, but he wasn't. Did you know that William the Conqueror outlawed slavery in the 11th century, and that ever since anybody stepping foot on British soil, even if they were a slave beforehand, was automatically considered a free man?
Yes, I did know that, smart ass.
Anyhow, Sambo's grave is up there past the houses somewhere.
But we haven't got time to have a look, because Sunderland Point is on a peninsula at the end of a causeway that's getting cut off from the mainland twice a day by the tide, and somebody didn't check the tide tables before we set off this morning.
You do realise that our viewers will be able to tell that you were obviously reading all that stuff before from a prepared script.
Will you shut up? The tide's coming in. Unless you want to be stuck here for the next 12 hours, we'd better bugger off.
It was written down on a piece of paper.
Right. Now this is St Helens Church in Overton, right next door to Sunderland Point, and was originally all part of the same village.
It's just as bleak and isolated as Sunderland Point, but it's currently not underwater.
St Helens Church dates all the way back to the 12th century AD and has an arched Norman doorway.
Which, for those of our viewers... For those of our viewers who don't know about British history, means it was established by the Normans from Normandy after William the Bastard invaded our shores rather than somebody called Norman. It makes it about 1,000 years old.
Roughly the same age as your jokes.
Well, where the are we according to the map for sakes?
I don't know. I think it might be in Cumbria.
You've got the map upside down.
Well, what's that building over there that looks like a medieval guildhall stuck in the middle of a field?
I don't know, is it on the map?
We might be in Oslo.
In Norway?
Well, we've made it to the Crook Of Lune somewhere east of Lancaster. This appears to be some sort of tunnel under the railway for very fat hedgehogs.
And now it's raining.
It's only drizzle.
It's an expensive camera, and this is the sort of fine drizzle that likes to insinuate itself through cracks and turn cogwheels rusty and stuff.
Will you shut up complaining, you...
Just cover the thing before it
Whose is that? The
If you'd like to see an improvement in the production values of Lancashire Footnotes, please subscribe to our YouTube channel now. Then perhaps we can afford some better equipment and some replacement presenters.